Hello, OAS family. It is time for another book review, and today we are reviewing a new book. First time in a while that we have a new book review, and we are reviewing a book called Drawing Sea Fish and Tropical Fish by Lin Hu-kuei. So, before we get into the details, we should talk about the general statistics of the book. The book is 8 1/4 inches wide by 11 3/4 inches high. This is this very popular quote-unquote A4 format that you see quite often in books that are printed in Europe or Asia. And it has a total of 111 pages, and it has text in English and Chinese. So a little bit about the subject in general. There is a special relationship that Chinese culture has with fish. I mean, more specifically, we see a lot of references to carp and koi, but in fish in general, there is a lot of interest and a lot of reverence. The ornamental fish or aquarium hobby is really big in Asia, both from a consumer and a supplier standpoint. There are a lot of breeders there that are breeding ornamental tropical fish, and a lot of very specialized breeding that's going on there. For example, in Taiwan, they have a very specific type of freshwater ornamental shrimp called the Taiwan bee shrimp. And they are making just beautiful creatures to keep in aquariums through selective breeding. So we're going to get into this book. We have a table of contents here, and here's a little biography on the artist. You can see that he was born in the Canton province or Guangdong, and he is talks about his study under Zhao Shao'an, who's a very well-known Lingnan master, and he basically goes through his journey through painting and why and his particular relationship with this group of subjects. So the first section is getting into kind of like line drawing and coloration. So you can see here's like a 4-step breakdown of this butterfly fish. And for me personally, I actually worked in the ornamental fish industry in the Bay Area. I worked at a specialty aquarium shop that specialized in freshwater planted aquariums. So it was like keeping ecosystems, sort of sustainable ecosystems where you would grow live plants that would help process the fish waste and provide a more natural environment for the fish. So I got to know a lot of these fish and keep a lot of them while I was working at that store. I see a lot of very familiar subjects here, and I'm personally very excited about this book because these are animals that I'm familiar with. I know their behaviors and their personalities. So this is a really exciting book for me. And then there are different varieties of butterfly fish. You can see it's a whole family of fish. So we had that first, I think, butterfly, and then here's another one. And then here's the third type of butterfly fish. And again, you can see this format where they sort of take the outline and then fill in the details of the line and then show the shading in 2 different stages. So with this technique, I would recommend using a semi-sized paper. Of course, you can use any paper that you want, but if you use a raw paper like Schwen paper, you really should do it in stages and make sure that the line work is completely dry before you apply the color. Or if you use semi-sized paper, then you can play around with wet-on-wet techniques, and it should be a little bit more forgiving from a moisture standpoint. All right, we get into another butterfly fish. This one's the double-banded butterfly. And then this is a saddleback butterfly fish. So you can see that the rough anatomical features of the family remain pretty consistent, but then you have like different fin lengths and different colorations. So it's nice. It's kind of like flowers in that way, where you can have like anatomical similarity but variation in color and pattern. And so with the same skill set, you can actually paint quite a variety of subjects. All right, this is the black-backed butterfly fish. And then this is the Indian Ocean. This one's called the Indian Ocean bannerfish. And then here's the four-eyed butterfly fish. So this is, some fish have this sort of false eye on this side. It's evolved there as a sort of protection mechanism. So you can see that, you know, it has two eyes on one side and two eyes on the other side. So they call it the four-eyed butterfly fish. And this is the long-fin butterfly fish. And this one is called the banded boarhead fish. Now we change. Now we are moving into freshwater species. So there are both freshwater and ocean fish in this book, and this is probably one of the most iconic freshwater ornamental species. It's the angelfish. So angelfish are in a family that is called cichlids, and cichlids are unique because they pair bond like humans. They find a mate, and they will pair with that mate and bond and breed with that mate, and usually that pair stays pretty consistent for the lifetime of the fish. So because of that, angelfish have become a symbol of relational harmony and perfect union. This is a discus, so another member of the cichlid family, also sort of like an iconic fish kept in freshwater, one of the most sought after freshwater species. Both angelfish and discus are naturally found in the Amazon, which it mentions here in the book. These are guppies. So guppies are interesting. Guppies are in a family of fish called live bearers. So they actually, instead of laying eggs like most fish, they actually bear their live young. They bear their young live. So that's also similar to ocean fish species called perch, which are also similarly live-bearing fish. But these are a fancy guppy. You can see the wild-type guppies are much plainer, but through selective breeding, they created these big fantails and these really fancy colors, and there are endless amounts of varieties. You can find inspiration of them online, but once you get the relative body shape, and this is the male is the one that has the bigger fantail. The females are a little bit plainer looking and have shorter tails. So now we have a group of butterfly fish shown together in different orientations, different modes of schooling or shoaling. And then here finally shown with a little bit of a hint of some type of macroalgae or kelp in the background. Then here are a school of perhaps these are discus. Yeah, school of discus, and you can see how the artist depicts them both front view and side view, which are very different looking, you know, obviously because of the shape of the fish. You have a very narrow front view, which they show here, and then a different side view. And then a couple angelfish in schools, obviously shown in pairs. So an interesting thing, if you're going to keep multiple angelfish in in an aquarium together, you really want a big group, because again they pair bond. So if you only keep two, it's very difficult to sex them when they were young, when you buy them. And so if you keep two and they both end up being the same sex, they will fight for territory. And if you keep a smaller number, you will likely get a pair, and the pair will beat up on the minority. So what you really want is a very large school, so that no matter what pair dynamics happen, there will still be some relief for those fish that are not ending up in pairs. Or if the pairs form and then they start defending territory because they want to lay eggs and they want to make sure that their babies survive. So that's why they get that sort of territoriality behavior. All right, so we get into the next thing here that's more about arrangement and composition. So we have a pair of discus here. Once again, discus are cichlids, just like angelfish, so very appropriate to show them in pairs. And then you can see that this is a 4-stage breakdown where the artist shows first the rendering of the fish, and then some subtle background elements being added, and then some more background elements being added with the shape. And then here's the final that includes the signature and the seal. And we also have some live photography pictures here, so you can see the depiction in comparison to the real life photographs. All right, so here are, I think this is that 4-eyed butterfly fish. And then you can see, again, this sequence where we have a 4-stage depiction. Here is a school of guppies. Choosing to show all the males. These are all males because you can see they all have the big fantails, so you can see, and here are some live pictures of them to see the different color variations and body angles and whatnot. And then now we have a trio of angelfish. So then you can see this pair bonding dynamic is shown even here, right? So you can see this two is the pair, and then this one is the odd one out. And then here is a trio of butterfly fish. And then another pair of butterfly fish. Different choice of macroalgae here. And I really like the use of shading here, where they leave one element, sort of one part of it unshaded to provide a little variety and a little sense of space to the composition. Really provides a nice flow from right to left or down to up, whichever you want, however you want to think about it. And then here are another fish. I believe this is a type of fish that they call a tang fish. So and again shown in a 4-stage breakdown. So more butterfly fish. Again showing these compositions in this similar format of like 4-stage breakdown. Then another species here, shown with a little simpler background, showing the power of shading and just these subtle hints of the background. So I like styles like this where they can show a little bit more like of a detailed style for foreground elements, and then a little bit more abstract style for background elements. It's a nice technique to designate emphasis in a painting. So a couple more paintings here, a group of butterfly fish. And yet another example. playing around with colors of background elements to add some harmony with the natural colorations of the fish, which happen in the wild too, because fish will change their colors to blend in with the background. Here's one where the background elements are all quite plain, so you can see this sort of just use of shading, and how the shading is not uniform. They will create empty spaces, and they're fading these shading strokes into the white space. So nice illustration of that technique here. All right, so here is next section, more of a gallery type section where we're showing finished compositions. We have a couple angelfish here, a couple pairs of butterfly fish on the right-hand side. And then some more of these butterfly fish. So you can see that the artist has kind of focused in on this certain family of fish. Maybe because of the anatomical similarities. You know, they all have this kind of like protruding snout. But here are a set of four, a couple in this sort of fan shape and a couple more classically rectangular. All right, so these are lionfish. So there is one of the downsides of the ornamental fish trade is when people get tired of keeping their fish, sometimes they will choose to release them into the ocean or into a local waterway. And that is a very bad thing to do, because a lot of these fish are not native to the local waterways. And lionfish in particular are quite an ecological problem in the Atlantic Ocean, especially off the coast of Florida. They don't have any natural predators there, and they are just breeding out of control and messing up the ecosystem and crowding out native species. So make sure that if you ever keep any of these fish, that if you no longer can keep them, you responsibly rehome them, so that they don't, so that we avoid releasing them into the natural waterways. Pair of discus here on the left-hand side, pair of angelfish here on the right. Or a butterfly fish on the right, sorry. And then these are triggerfish on the left-hand side here. Also a very beautiful, interesting saltwater species. They have very powerful jaws, and they feed on crustaceans in the wild. So these little small mouths are very powerful, and they can crush like clams and hard-shelled mollusks and things to feed. Couple freshwater compositions here, angelfish on the left-hand side and guppies on the right-hand side. And a couple more depictions of ocean fish. Really like the use of the background here, really suggests the structure of like a reef. You know, the reef habitats are where a lot of these more colorful ocean fish live. And if you are ecologically minded, the reefs are very important to the ocean habitat, and they are an indicator of how well, as human beings, we are stewarding the ocean. And so keeping the reefs healthy, keeping the corals there healthy, and making sure that the diversity of species that occupy the reef stays high, and keeping the oceans clean. These are all things that we can think about how we can proactively participate in, even if it's just as simple as disposing of our own waste in responsible manners, or being more proactive, finding good organizations who are cleaning up reefs and restoring reefs. And also the aquarium hobby has a really important role in that. People sort of think about the aquarium hobby as like, well, people are taking fish out of the wild and keeping them in cages, and that's very cruel, and that's a point of view, and it's a way to think about it. But what you find when you talk to aquarists is they, as a community, have a really high appreciation for natural environments and what it takes to keep these animals healthy. And they are usually very passionate conservationists, and so it is, and like the cost that a person has to go through to keep these animals healthy, just a couple of them, just a few of them healthy in an aquarium, is tremendous. So it's not like it's a threat to wild populations of fish. Way less than it's basically way less than pollution, which is the real threat, the pollution which wrecks the environment that the fish are keeping in. So all types of fishing, if done sustainably, whether it be fishing for food or catching species for ornamental keeping, it can be done sustainably, and it can be done in a way that encourages the environment to stay intact. That's really important, because otherwise what happens is if we lose human interest or human stakes in the preservation of these environments for our enjoyment, then we sort of abandon them to bigger commercial interests that will just can just pollute them and ruin them, because nobody is invested in their preservation. So we have couple more as we're getting to the end of the book here. This is the first time we see clownfish. So this is a very popular species because of that movie, Finding Nemo. So these are clownfish depicted, and these are a depiction of the anemones that they live in. So they form a symbiotic relationship with this invertebrate called an anemone, and anemones have natural stinging tentacles, but the clownfish are immune to the sting, so they host inside of anemones, and they form cooperative relationships where the clownfish will bring food in and eat food inside of the anemone, and the anemone gets to share in the scraps of the food that are released while the clownfish is feeding, and also the anemone is there to provide protection for the clownfish. All right, we're getting into arowanas now, dragonfish, which are very popular in Asia. There are specific types of dragonfish that are so precious that their export is limited, and it's actually illegal to export animals that haven't been tracked with a microchip. So like there are certain colorations of arowana that are restricted in trade that way. So here are a couple examples of the arowana, or the dragonfish. Finishing with a group of 5 angelfish here. And a couple more ocean depictions using darker colors this time. Provides a nice striking contrast to the brighter colored fish and gives a sense of what the ocean is like underneath. It's not always a bright situation, especially when the water gets a little deeper. You can get lots of shades of gray and darkness under there. A couple more very interesting patterns and textures here used in the background depiction. And then we finish here with a book list from the publisher. So that is Drawing Sea Fish and Tropical Fish by Lin Hu-kuei. We have, as of the recording of this, we have 6 copies of this book remaining. So if you like this book and want to get a copy for yourself, I would encourage you to go to our website at orientalartsupply.com. And in general, the word from our publisher is fewer and fewer books are going to be reprinted. The future of physical books is kind of in doubt. And so if you are a fan of having physical books, I would build your collection now. I would support your interest. I would express your interest in books by purchasing books and letting people who sell books know that you're still interested in physical books. I do think that there is value, especially for an artist, in having a physical book. There's just something different about holding an art book in your hands versus seeing it on a screen. So anyway, thank you very much. And as always, we wish you happy painting.